it's a decision that I had to make as well, which path I wanted to take. And I would, I tell people that business chose me. I did
Yeah.
not, yeah, I did not choose that by myself. But let me move on to the next question. And yeah, so I'm gonna ask you, in, I've heard you speak, I don't know, more than 6 times, and each time you come on stage, you come with so much energy. You come and you deliver, and you every time you've spoken, you transform lives. Every time you speak, you're always funny. How did you get to that? Is it practice? Is it how did you get to that?
Um, hmm. Boy, you're asking me really good questions. So are you asking me how do I do that basically?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. It's actually more simple than you would imagine. Um, First of all, there's a lot of people, and maybe this will go to people who want to be speakers out there or who are doing speaking like you are. My 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 approach and my approach to an audience is very different from most speakers. Now, a lot of people want to be a speaker because they just love the attention. And who doesn't like to be, who doesn't want applause and attention?
Yeah.
Because it feels good to get attention. But I don't do what I do for attention. I could care less about that stuff. My focus is very, very different. For example, if I have a bunch of awards and achievement, and I have all that stuff in my office here, but I don't show people that. You'll never see this office posted online because this is my personal man cave here. But my achievements are nothing. They're meaningless to you in the audience unless I use them to help you. So I put all of my focus is on the audience, and I get my energy from the audience. That's where it comes from. But I learned something is that many years ago when I played in a band, for example, my bandmates would say, "Oh, I wonder if it's going to be a good crowd today, or if it's going to be a lousy crowd, like a good audience versus a lousy audience." There's no such thing as a lousy audience. There's only a lousy speaker or a lousy band. That's it. Because the audience acts as one organism. It is my job if they're, and I've seen this with my fellow speakers and coaches. We'll be talking and they'll say, "Gee, that was a tough crowd today." And I go, "Let me at them. Just let me at them. I can't wait." because I know their attitude is wrong. My job is to serve the audience. And so I will take, and here's the thing, you may have heard this expression because a lot of people talk about the, what is it, the manifesting. And, you give what you receive what you give, and et cetera, et cetera. Here's the trouble. If you give a lot, you get, the thing is with receiving from the universe is very simple. First you have to give, then you receive. In other words, first we put the wood in the fireplace and then we get the fire. But there's a trick to that. As a speaker, you can't hold back anything. And that's where speakers make a mistake. They're always holding something back. When I work with the person, whether it's one-on-one coaching or from in front of 3,000 people, I cut loose. I give it everything I have, heart and soul, everything. I'm not afraid if I get upset on stage and I get teary-eyed and I start actually.
What's your advice for other young people out there who might be or who could be looking up to you but don't know what to do? They want to publish books, they want to speak around the world like you do, they want to become global bestsellers like you. How do they do that? What's your advice for them?
Well, my advice would be simple, and that is whether you want to be a speaker or an author, and there are two different skill sets to the spoken word and the written word, is make sure you have a compelling message, not just a topic. A topic is unique to no one. Customer service is a topic that thousands of people talk about all over the world. The Fred factor is my message about how to provide great customer service. Leadership is a topic. You don't need a title to be a leader is my unique vantage point. And without a point of view, you just become a copy or a duplicate. And and it's hard to get the attention of the marketplace. I would say don't write a book or give a speech without a very compelling reason why you want to do that. And that goes back to the question, how is my message going to benefit the reader or the listener? They don't want to know what you did, and they don't even want to know what you learned about what you did. They want to know what they can learn and how they can use what you learned in their life to get better. And if you can help the reader or the listener get better, you'll be very successful.
Wow. There you have it. Million.
Be relevant. There are many people that are famous but not relevant. And a perfect example is when you look at, okay, I don't know if you know Soulja Boy, the rapper.
Of course.
He's very famous, but at the moment he's rather irrelevant as compared to the people that are relevant at the moment, which is something that most people don't focus on. And the next question that I have to ask you is, I always get this a lot where people come out and communicate to their audience or to the world that I'm the world's number one sales expert. I'm the world's number one, at marketing expert. And many of the times, these people are not actually the world's number one, and they're coming out and communicating that they're the world's number one. And the question that I always have is, what makes you global? What makes you that? What makes you to be that type of person that you say you are? And many people fail to answer me. In your own opinion, do you believe in faking it till you make it?
No, I don't. And I've lived that. I lived that for a while, and I understand why it. And here's why it doesn't work. Eventually, the truth catches up to you.
Definitely.
Okay. And so you can't fake it till you make it, because eventually the truth will shine and you will be revealed. Okay. So one of the things that I like to do is I don't like to claim myself as a branding expert. I don't like to claim myself as the number one of anything, because I know I'm not. Okay. Mm-hmm. One thing that I am, though, is very passionate about people. I'm very passionate about branding. I'm very passionate about design. I'm very passionate about taking people from this level here and bringing them up a couple notches, to a more enhanced look and feel, or an enhanced way of living, right? But that's what I believe, that if you invest in yourself, great things will happen. I just happen to be somebody who is very passionate about branding and stays very consistent with understanding and learning about branding. And that's what people are attracted to. So understanding that people will buy why, and this comes from Simon Sinek, I didn't make this up, but people will buy your why before they buy your what or your how. And so I go out there every day before I go live and I say to myself, is what I'm about to say in line with my values? Will this help someone that is listening enhance their brand identity, their presence, their messaging? And that's how I position myself. So I wouldn't recommend you fake it till you make it. I would recommend that you stay very consistent and narrow with whatever it is that you love to do. So the biggest problem, Tyrone, is people are trying to be everything to everyone, and it dilutes your subject matter expertise. So what I would recommend is you stay extremely narrow with what it is that you're really, really good at, and just be a forever student. So consistently learn new things about the industry and apply them and say, how can I help my audience do this? So if there's one thing that I would want your audience to take away from this call or this live or this podcast, whatever you decide to do with it, is focus and ask yourself, who do I truly want to serve? And then learn everything you possibly can about that individual, and then go in and start creating products or services that will help them.
Wow. this is amazing. Now you,
To be Rolls Royce and you're not. That's where the problems start.
yeah.
Okay.
Wow, that's very profound. Most people position themselves as something they're not. I find this very common with a lot of people, and I call it the fake it till you make it syndrome, where people
Yeah.
believe that I can just fake it till I make it. And
Uh,
how would you advise somebody who's starting, uh, so that they can position themselves in a way that is appealing to the people?
okay. So it depends on their it depends on their business, obviously. I think what is more important, instead of faking it till you make it, is to, as Professor Amy Cuddy says from Harvard University, she says you should act as if until you become. So just from a personal stand, I'm going to talk personal coaching here, personal transformation. As an individual, you always want to increase the quality of the character of you. Okay. For example, I want to call you Dr. T almost.
Yes, Dr. T.
Because you almost look like a Dr. T when we talk. I love that. But
Yeah.
all joking aside, you've probably heard this expression that people don't buy your product, they buy you. Have you heard that expression before?
Yes, that is true. That is true.
Okay. So my question, when I get people to agree to that statement, my question to them is, if that's true, how good is the quality of this product? That's the first thing I want to know. If people really buy you, then how good is this? How good is the mind, the body, the soul? How good is the character? So if you don't have all the character traits of a high performing, high quality individual, then you should act as if until you acquire them. That's step number one. Okay. Now, where was we? I lost my train of thought. That's the first part of the question. You can tell I
Yeah.
need more coffee yet. Here,
Yes.
so just quickly repeat the first question. Forgive me.
Okay. So the first question was, I give an example of people that position themselves as something they're not.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the first.
And yeah, you can go ahead.
The first stage to that. Well, I'll give you an example as particularly if people want to be coaches and things like this. Because a lot of people, I see a lot of that happening in the coaching industry. They position themselves like they're better than they are, and that's simply not necessary. The one thing I learned, and you probably can't see it back there. This is my home office. This is my wall of fame. It's a lot of stuff, but I have a songwriting award from the second highest Grammy award winner in the world. And that's something I got years ago. But I learned something from this gentleman that was very profound, because I had asked him a question. I said, how did you get so many hit records with so many great artists? And he says, it's a really good question. And the answer is this. He goes, the most important thing is I only work with artists I can create a hit with. And I thought, wow, this is profound. So I was never a coach until about 5 years ago. I was a businessman. I learned how to speak, and I built an investment company, and then I sold it and kind of retired from that. But what I learned is when I got into coaching, I said, I need to build a track record of success. And now here's the mistake a lot of people make when they go into business. They will, pardon this expression, they'll prostitute themselves to anyone who will give them money. And I don't think that's a strong way to build a business. You have to start a business based on honesty and integrity, and those words mean something. So when I first started coaching, I would only coach people that I knew I could have success with. Because you see, you can have a great student and a great coach, but the only important thing is, are they great together? And not every customer is meant for you. So I started off very slowly, and I would pick and choose my clients very carefully. And that's why I have this wall of fame today, because I